Life is sweeter, sweeter with the Rikki. Oh, it's sweeter, little sister sweets. Hi guys, welcome back to Little Sister Sweets. Today we're making a snickerdoodle cake. Usually this is made in a bundt cake form and it's delicious, but today I'm making a birthday cake, so I'm gonna do one bigger tier and one smaller tier. So I've doubled the recipe, but you can halve this recipe and it'll be perfect for a bundt cake. So the first thing I have here is 2 cups of brown sugar and 2 cups of white sugar in my bowl. I'm gonna add my butter, and I'm gonna get that beating in my mixer. Perfect, yeah, we'll just get that beating. Remember to use room temperature butter for this recipe, really important. All right, it's looking good. All right, our butter and sugar is nice, creamed and light. We're gonna add, I have 6 eggs at room temperature. We're gonna add a few of them, 3, there we go. And we'll get it beating again. Start slow, work up the speed. Perfect. As soon as the eggs are fully incorporated, then we'll add the rest and then we'll go with our vanilla. All right, those are fully incorporated. We'll add our last 3 eggs and we'll let it keep mixing. So you can just watch it there. At first it looks like it's not gonna incorporate it, but if you let it go and you turn up the mixer a little bit, it'll be fine. All right, now that this is all mixed in, we're gonna add our vanilla. I would say add about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. I never measure my vanilla. I just dump it in until it looks good. But if you want to, you can add about a tablespoon if you want to measure. All right, we'll let that mix. So we have this mixing, we've added our vanilla and our eggs. Now we're gonna add our flour. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do flour, then sour cream, then another batch of flour, then sour cream, and then we're always gonna finish with our dry ingredient when we alternate dry and wet ingredients. The first thing I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna mix in, I have salt, baking soda, and baking powder in here. I'm gonna add that in. It's 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. So I'm just gonna stir that in a little bit. You can whisk it if you want. You can sift it. It's not necessary for this recipe. I'm gonna add a little bit at a time. I don't wanna overdo it, and I wanna keep my mixer on slow so that I don't have flour going everywhere in my kitchen. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of my flour. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of the sour cream. This is at room temperature as well. Make sure, again, all your ingredients are at room temperature. Makes it much easier to incorporate. Let the mixture keep going, especially at this slow speed. We'll add a little more flour. And then I'll add some more sour cream. Sour cream, if you've never tried sour cream in a cake, it's absolutely delicious. I'm using full fat sour cream here, but I've always used light and it works great as well. I'm gonna reserve some flour because I still have sour cream left. And we always wanna add our dry ingredients last. So this is 2 cups of sour cream, room temperature again, and 5 cups of flour. And we'll finish off. All right, this is looking fabulous. Let me show this to you really quickly. Can you see this? Zoom in over here. This is the perfect texture. It's exactly how we want it. It's a really thick batter, but for this cake, it's just gonna crisp up nicely. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is grab our pans. So I've sprayed these down with non-stick cooking spray. And now what I'm gonna do is add a little bit of cinnamon sugar. This is just sugar and cinnamon. You can have the ratio that you want, doesn't matter. I like mine extra cinnamony. So I'm gonna spread a little bit of cinnamon sugar in here, toss it around. What this is going to do is give our cakes a nice crispy crust. There we go. And I'll add a little bit to this. Now what I do is I just make a whole bunch of this. I'm not gonna use all that cinnamon and sugar, but I can just put a lid on that container and save it for the next time I make this cake. I'm gonna do my next one. Again, you can use a bundt cake and you'll do the same thing with the bundt pan. You'll add a little bit of cinnamon and sugar, swirl it around. Perfect, and I'm gonna grab one more. Look at this, it's gonna be beautiful tiers. I'm gonna spray it down again because this one I hadn't previously sprayed. Spray it down, really heavily spray this, guys. And you can add, if you're still worried about it not coming out in the oven, a parchment circle at the bottom, and that makes it really easy. For this cake, because I have all the cinnamon sugar, I don't wanna do that. And I'm actually not going to frost this cake. I'm just gonna dust it with some powdered sugar, so it's the easiest birthday cake you'll ever make. Woo! Gotta get my handy dandy spatula out for this one. This was a Christmas present for my brother. He's the sweetest, I love it. Best spatula. All right, we'll set this aside. And I'll get some batter going in these pans. This is a heavy bowl, my heavens. Now you could measure out and do like 2 cups of batter in this one, but I don't. I just eyeball it till it looks full enough. And guys, this is gonna be a beautiful, nice, big cake. And this is gonna rise quite a bit. So you won't have to worry about it not coming up to the edge of the pan. This cake likes to rise. All right, so I'm gonna spread this out so it's pretty even. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the flatter I can get it, the flatter it will bake in the oven. What you can do, what I probably should do, is spray your spatula with a little bit of that Pam or any nonstick cooking spray you like to use, and then it won't stick to the batter. So I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm gonna pop these in there and I'm gonna bake them. In a bundt pan, this will take about 55 to 60 minutes. And these pans, I don't think any more than 30. I'm just gonna bake them, see how they turn out. You'll know the cake is done when you stick a toothpick in the center and it comes out clean, or when you tap and it sponges back slightly. You wanna make sure it's cooked all the way through, but you don't wanna burn it. So just check it. There's really no exact time for when you know a cake is done. You just have to be looking for it and watching. I will check these about every 10 to 15 minutes, and then every 5 minutes as the baking time gets closer. Okay, so again, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I'm gonna throw these in here. If you have a convection oven, don't use convection. Whenever I bake, I never use the convection. I'm gonna put the bigger cakes on the bottom and the smaller cakes on the top. And I'm gonna rotate those. I have this nice timer. If you can find yourselves one of these, buy it. It's the best thing ever. I've never found one since I have it. And I'm gonna set it for 30 minutes. All right, so I popped these babies out of the oven and they look pretty good. See, we'll test them. And that's clean. And that's exactly what we want. The last little guy should be about done. We'll check him again. He was taking a little longer than the others. Oh, no, see? The inside of there is a little bit gooey still. So we wanna let this guy go a little longer. I'm gonna put him on the bottom shelf of my oven as well, so that he won't get any more brown, but he'll cook in the inside. Okay, so I'm gonna let these cool for probably 30 minutes. You wanna make sure that before you take them out, they're just slightly warm. Right now, they're still really hot. Slightly warm, flip them over. Then I'm gonna let them cool again until they're completely cool. Then I'm gonna stack the cakes. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip these cakes out of their pans onto parchment paper. Perfect. You can use a wire rack, that's totally fine. I'm just using parchment paper for now. It's just gonna cool. And then, as you can see here, it's not sitting totally flat because the top baked up a little bit more. So when this gets a little bit cooler, I'll flip it back over and then just trim off the top. Over here, I have my powdered sugar duster, which I need, And then I have a little bit of buttercream here I made. I'm gonna use it to fill the cake. So you don't have to fill the cake at all, especially if you make a bundt pan, you won't need that at all. Just maybe some powdered sugar for decoration. If you want to though, you can make some buttercream. If you check out my snap guide, I definitely have guides on there that will show you. Just go down, you can see buttercream guides and you can make it. If not, if you have questions, I'll totally make a guide for that sometime as well. All right, we'll let these cool and then we'll get back to it. All right, so I have my cakes here. These ones, as you can see, are a little bit browner. That's okay, these are gonna be in the bottom and I'm gonna dust them with powdered sugar anyway. They took longer to cook. So here we go, I'll take this one and I'll flip it over. And this one is actually looking pretty good on height-wise, but we'll trim it up to where it needs to be. And this is always really fun because you have extra scraps you can munch on. And when we stack these, we're gonna flip it over so you only see the bottom, that nice flat bottom. Definitely use a serrated knife for this. Makes your job so much easier. You wanna try this? You gotta try this, it's delicious. Here we go. Okay, so I took my first cake, flopped it over, the larger size, put it on a little cake board, and I have it on a turntable here. You don't need a turntable for this cake, especially since there's no fancy piping or anything like that, but you can if you want. That's what I usually do. So I'm just gonna grab some of my frosting, and I'm just going to use the frosting for the outer edge. Make a little border of frosting, just so that when I stack the cake, that's what you'll see. Then I'm gonna take the next one. I've leveled this one out as well. And I'm just gonna throw it on top there. Perfect. And then for these, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar. And we'll hit the edges of this as well. And then I'm gonna add again with I'm just gonna put a little bit in the inside so it sticks. I'm just gonna spread this around to the edges so we see the cakes I'm using are pretty close to the same size. So you just wanna see a little bit of it. Again, this cake doesn't need the frosting, so this is only for decoration. If you didn't wanna use it at all, that would be totally fine. Yes, there we go. Oh my goodness, this cake is gonna be so tall. Do you see where I'm going with this? Powdered sugar this one as well. Really get some like snow going on it. We'll do one more itty bitty layer around the edge. So look how easy this is. Last tier. Throw that one on top. I mean, how many inches is this? I want to measure. This is so great. All right, last thing of powdered sugar. So we'll really get a lot on top. It's okay if it goes everywhere. That's what powdered sugar does. Just make sure you have enough. Righty. Perfect. I'm gonna get some flowers on this cake, but I'm gonna put the flowers on right before I serve it. So I won't have a video of that, but I'll show you pictures of it later. Look at that, easy as peasy. Guys, thank you so much for watching Little Sister Sweets. My name is Rikki. You can check out my blog at www.littlesistersweets.wordpress.com and follow me on Snap Guide, Rebecca Casimir. Thank you so much. Bye.
Life is sweeter